I'm gonna miss you, baby. I really am gonna miss her. What the fuck is on my face? It's like I've been playing in the mud. Best thing on the internet. Oh God. I always look like I just rolled out of bed because I probably did. Bye, friend. Bye. She's the best. Actually, I'm kidding. The other one's the best. The other one's the best. I don't know. I should go the way that I normally go. Hold on, Vortex. Whew. Vortex, I haven't shot a video in a couple of days. You wanna know why that is? Do you know? Do you know the truth about me? I'm a very honest person. There are some things, though, that I'm reluctant to be honest about, and the reason for that is because I'm ashamed. I'm deeply ashamed. What is it this time, Amy? What are you ashamed of? I'm ashamed of the fact that I used to be this huge pothead, right? Like, it was like something that I did like on a pretty regular basis. And so I smoked a lot of weed, and it helped me for a long time. And then my life kept happening, and there were things that changed in my life. And because of that, like a lot has changed about myself. There are things that have changed, and it's just the way that I look at the world and how I look at drugs and how I look at my relationship with God and everything. And, you know, I don't think that God is mad at me because I have a pretty have a pretty intense experience, and sometimes I want some kind of lift from that. And this used to be a constant thing that I would do, and then it wasn't. Then it was like an every once in a while thing, and then it's interesting how like addiction works, how habits work. You know, I went from buying like a couple grams of weed and, you know, doing that shit strictly recreationally, you know, whenever I could, but always with other people. And then, you know, I just started buying more and more and smoking like every chance I got. And it was fun though. It's not like something like that will ever be like this dangerous thing that will involve, you know, a shootout or, you know, something crazy happening. But I guess that's kind of the problem. You know, you can always like rationalize it because it's not that serious. You know what I mean? But yeah, I used to smoke all the time, and then I got sick of it. And comedy really changed my mind on a lot of stuff. I mean, definitely politics. I didn't do a 180, I did a 360. But I don't know, I don't really feel like I'm burdened by a lot of these things that have changed me over the years, you know, like the religion thing kind of throws people off because well, for one, I'm like a ginormous conspiracy theorist, so it's like you don't have to tell me that like they're using religion to control a lot of stuff. Yeah, dude. But that is one cool thing about being schizophrenic, is that you know that. I would argue that that's the whole reason why this is such a threat to society. It's because we know all the secrets without having to obsess about them, you know? A lot of people obsess about them. They waste a lot of time doing this. And I'm not saying I never have wasted time, but it's just like, once I realize the time that I'm wasting, or once I realize the energy I'm wasting, I can't really get into it with the same level of enthusiasm as all these other people That's why I never got a smartphone, because like it's terrible, and like I always knew that it would be terrible. So I'm not going to do something that I know is going to be terrible, and I'll just feel guilty about it. But anyway, what was I saying? I was saying something. Oh, pot. That makes sense. Yeah, so like I smoked weed again, and yeah, what happens with me when I smoke weed is that I don't do anything. Like I really don't do anything else. Like it's hard. Sometimes I would like smoke, and then I'd make something, like I do art, you know, but now I'm just like, I try to just have that be like strictly me time, where I'm like talking to myself about some personal problem, you know? I mean, that's what it's good for. I think that marijuana is like supposed to help us resolve our personal issues, because it allows us to look at them from that different perspective, you know, like the problem is obviously you needing that for the perspective, you know? Like, if you're able to do drugs and it kind of like lifts you up, it makes you understand things from another angle. Like you're able to see things that you couldn't see before, and it changes how you perceive yourself and how you perceive the world around you. I remember when I first discovered cannabis, I felt like it was some sort of godsend. Like, that's what I was supposed to do. I'm just supposed to smoke a ridiculous amount of this plant, and then it'll make sense out of my life. Now, I've definitely figured things out over the years, you know. There's been a lot that I've come to terms with. But it had to be through experience. It had to be through time, you know? It had to be through me, like, getting pretty messy. You know? Things have to get messy. I think it's fairly difficult to have a life experience that isn't messy, that you learn anything from, you know what I mean? But anyway, yeah, my apologies for not posting anything. Yeah, if I'm high, like, I don't want to do anything else. I'll just be high, you know? I post a lot, too. You know I post a lot. I'm not going to leave y'all hanging. But, you know, I don't want to get to a point where, like, yeah, I'm not making stuff because I'm just too busy, like, fucking around. Basically, I've noticed that, you know, I get kind of bored with, like, just, you know, doing the same thing all the time, which is why, like, I've sort of gotten myself in this routine of, like, being on drugs, off drugs, on drugs, off drugs, on drugs, off drugs, because I'm, like, trying to challenge myself, maybe. And I know that people will be like, well, why don't you just, like, try to stay off drugs? Why don't you just, like, you know, just stay clean? I'm like, well, because I don't want to. You know, obviously, on some level, like, I want to do something. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm lying to myself. You think I'm lying to myself? I have noticed, though, with any mood, you know, I get this way about opinions. I get this way about perspectives. We're like, I'll just tell myself, like, yeah, this is the way that I feel. And I'm silly. I'm silly for that, because, like, I'm not gonna stick to it. You know, it's very rare that I stick with anything. I mean, yeah, the posters and, you know, the stuff that I put up on the interweb, you know, it is like a compulsion. I've gotten into this because it gives me a sense of meaning. I do enjoy it. I do enjoy making stuff, but I also enjoy, you know, if I get any kind of feedback, whether it's positive or negative, that's pretty cool. Just to be able to engage with people on a creative level or philosophical level, that means a lot to me. But yeah, so I'm asking myself this question: why do I keep going back to something? If I know that I'm a lot more clear-headed and more motivated if I don't go back to it, why do I keep doing it? It's because of what I stated in the beginning of the video, that I just need a lift. I just need a lift. I don't need it, I want it. Why do I want it? Why do I feel wrong for wanting it? Like, all throughout my life, well, really since I was about 16 or 17, I've been on and off drugs. Whether they were drugs that were prescribed to me or they were drugs that I got in a bag from a classmate. And then eventually from a grill cook. You know, I think that the reason why God put me in America is so I could study this sort of thing. Because my country is totally addicted to escapism, and they can't stop proving it, which is why, you know, there's no reason to feel guilty about things that you do to try to escape something that isn't fun. interesting how marijuana has been on this path with me for a while. Like whether I use it or I don't use it, it's still on the path in some way. And I do appreciate it a lot, but it's so strong that it's like, I wish I didn't have to say these things. I wish that, like, there's a part of me that wishes that I was still a pothead the way that I used to be. You know? Like, since I became a Christian, that hasn't changed the way that I look at the cannabis plant itself. It's changed how I look at my relationship with it. You know, because we have a relationship with everything. There's a spiritual element to everything that we do. And I don't want to be doing anything in a way that's not spiritual. And I definitely know when I'm using something in a way that's not spiritual, and I can feel that. Because there's a different energy there. You know, so I don't know. I do believe sometimes that I still have a very self-destructive streak. And so, you know, I'm not going about it the way that I used to. I'm pretty tame now compared to the Amy Gross of yesteryear. And so, sometimes I think that, you know, oh, if I do this, it'll give me something to fester about, it'll give me something to you know, obsessively ponder. But anyway, but I definitely don't think that I'm like a bad person or anything. I'm not like bemoaning the fact that I want to get high. You know? I gotta be honest about it though. The sickness is in the secrets, right? Yeah, but if you got something that you struggle with, something that you really want to quit doing, or something that you just can't start doing, something that you do too much of, just know you're definitely not alone in that struggle. You like these long silences? Where are you getting that? Anywhere else on the internet? Where are you gonna get like some long, awkward silence? You are so lucky that I'm getting you that. We'll figure it out, Vortex. We'll figure it out eventually. Hopefully we won't die in the process. I don't think we will. I don't think it's that serious. But maybe that's the problem too. Maybe it needs to be more serious. Like if it were a life or death situation, I'd have no problem letting go of it. But because it's not a life or death situation, you know, we do what we do.